Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine, and this is episode number 83. 83 coming at you, and we're talking nonstop about topical things that are relevant to you. By the way, that's Blaine Birch. He's my co-host. I'm Mike Milan. I'm Cashflow Mike.
What are you drinking? We gotta pop into that here.
All right, so you know how you got me. See, I forgot you could do that. I'm getting used to the sound effects. Think about it. We got a jingle now. We got intro videos. We got just about everything. I mean, we're almost even, a legit podcast.
Even with our topic a little bit later, we need filters that can make me look like I'm 20 years old, but we probably will never get to that.
Got it. All right, so you know how I'm a sucker for military-type stuff and Texas-made beer. This is Battle-Born and Texas-made, but it's by 5x5 Brewing. It's called FUBARR.
Nice.
FUBARR, excellent. Right? So we're going to try that out. So, but FUBARR,
yes,
if you know, you know what that means? The acronym? Yeah. It's effed up beyond all recognition. So we're going to check it out and try it and give it a run. And it's even spelled wrong. That's what their tagline is. It's even spelled wrong.
Nice.
I don't know if you can see that or not, but so everything.
And it's funny because you say FUBARR and you think military, and I hear FUBARR and I think of Terry and Diener for this cult classic Canadian movie called FUBARR, which were just kind of a couple deadbeat headbangers back in like the 80s, and it was a hilarious show, a really funny show. And I met Terry. I met one of them at the premiere at a little theater in Edmonton when they released it. You're going to have to check that out. But cool beer. Love it that you're, focusing on the military. Cool. Now, I picked a beer today. I just went to the fridge. I'm like, which beer am I going to show today? And our topic today, and we're going to get into it, but we're going to get into this TikTok ban. And before we really talk about what it is, but I have to tell you why, because I found this can called Purely Decorative. And I'll admit, I don't know much about TikTok. And if you ask me, I'd probably think it's purely decorative. But I think it probably does much more than that. Double IPA from BlackStack in, was it Minnesota? I think it was BlackStack Brewing, St. Paul, Minnesota. Really nice beer, really terrific beer. But the title just seemed, the name seemed apropos today.
Right on. All right, so I'm going to try this.
There's nothing as good for a podcast audio than listening to us drink.
Well, I know why they call this one FUBARR. Now, I've never done this on air with somebody, but I think it might have been a messed up batch. Maybe this
not awesome. That's maybe not the tagline you want to use with your beer. It's not awesome.
That's why it says it's even spelled wrong, right? The tagline is, it's even spelled wrong. Why is mine not clear?
I think probably
Yours
a little
close.
Clear.
Mine's not clear. Yeah, I'm going to choke it down.
Okay, so we got two ones. Like, I'm going to choke it down, and it's what was it? It's not great, or it's not awesome.
It's not awesome, but I mean, it's beer, right?
Well, I will say that Purely Decorative from BlackStack, this is a delicious beer. Actually, outstanding IPA, so I'm quite happy with that. So I'll take it. But you always get free beer, so whatever. I'm going to have the good beer today then.
Hey, you know why I get free beer?
I know it. I shouldn't say that. I've had some free beer too. But it's been a little while. So if anyone wants to buy me a beer, I'll put it on the show. All
right. So neighbor Pat came down to the house the other day just to say hi. Guess what he had on his body?
On his body.
My favorite shirt that we gave him. He was wearing the Mike and Blaine shirt. I mean, this guy sports it. He's proud about it. He's out there wearing it. And if you want one like neighbor Pat's, go to, well, MikeandBlaine.com, go to merch. He's got a navy blue with the logo right on the front. Just a plain regular T-shirt. Or you can get a cool mug like we're seeing right here with Blaine.
This is the logo. And then we also have, although I forgot on one of the shirts to actually put that it was a podcast. So I realized that after I was wearing the shirt, and I was like, man, I should have wrote podcast on here. But anyways, conversation starter.
That's what the little symbol does, right? The little symbol.
I know one of the shirts I forgot to put the symbol on. I realized that it's literally the one I have, and I was wearing it, and I went, hey, what happened to the little symbol that's on the mug? I don't know what happened to it, but it's gone.
All right, so today, right? So you know that we always pick the topic like minutes before this thing happens. Blaine texts me and says, "Hey, what's the topic? What's the topic?" I'm like going, I had just seen on the news this TikTok hearing. I'm like, let's talk about TikTok, right? So first of all, can you explain what TikTok is? You know what it is?
Man, I feel like an old loser here. I've never actually seen TikTok. Now I've seen it everywhere in pop culture. I've never actually seen it myself. I'm guessing it's an app. I sound like such a loser here, but I've never loaded on my phone, so I've never seen it. But I was watching a show last night, Lopez versus Lopez. I think it was on Hulu or something. New comedy, George Lopez. Anyway, we started watching it, and they had little TikTok things as the intro to the show and parts of the show. They did these little, and I recognized it. I knew it was TikTok. So it's actually so pervasive in culture that I recognized it immediately without even ever have used it myself.
All right. So I think back in I'm going to say 2018, 19, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly when it was, but I recognize TikTok as like a teenage thing. It's like going, at the time we had like a 13, 14-year-old living in the house, and she would learn these little 15-second dances, right? They were weird dances. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I mean, we tried it. I even did a TikTok in like 2019 with her, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. So it was really cool, but we'd watch it, but it's like everybody was doing the same dance. Like somebody made up a dance, and then 1,000 other people did the same dance. And I'm like going, so I didn't get that. I'm like going, once I seen it once, I don't really need to see it again. Unless you were doing it. If you were doing it, then I'd go see it again. So to me, it was like a teenager's way to, I don't really know, I guess be creative with how they were putting together their video, because I'm telling you what, kids nowadays do video way different than I think I ever have, right? Way different. What they can do in a matter of seconds on their phone, it would probably take me 25 minutes or an hour to do just normal, just on my desktop.
Yeah, like I've seen them, so I'm familiar enough with them, and we've messed around with some of the Instagram video stuff, and so I know you can add first of all, you film yourself or whatever, but then you can add all of the text and graphics and stuff over top of it, and that used to be super hard, and now even on your desktop it's way easier, but it's still nothing like you can do in like I said, in seconds on your phone if you know what you're doing, which I don't. But but that's not what we're talking about. That's not the important part, is whether we use TikTok or not, but it affects a lot of people, right?
Well, what we're trying to do is establish what it is. And really, I mean, I think there was another social media platform out there. First of all, it's a social media platform, but it's these short form videos. It's like really short videos that you watch where people were doing silly things, pranking each other, dancing, showing you how to do little things, life hacks, those type of things.
Vine.
I forget who. Vine. Remember Vine had that, but they were like 5-second videos, not like
they dropped it
videos
probably
like
too
that.
quick. Instead of trying to solve the problem or finding out why people didn't want to use it, they just dropped it. Because wasn't that Twitter? I think it was Twitter that made Vine. It was one of the big ones that made Vine. And it feels to me like TikTok ate their lunch literally just because they knew what people wanted to do, rather than I think Vine tried to prescribe, this is what you have to do. Do it this way or screw off, which is kind of the Twitter way really too, right?
it makes sense, right? Because he had 140 characters or 5 seconds. Right? It was kind of that way. You know what? And what they really did was shift all of us. They shifted all of our minds into thinking that everything is short form now. Everything is bite-sized, consumable chunks. And for marketers, this is a good thing, right? It's like going, how do I craft my message into a 5-second or 30-second video where I can get your attention enough to drive behavior, right? Really, that's how all this is starting now, is that now we're driving behaviors, whether it be influencing a teenager to do a dance or a whole ecosystem of, managing your TikTok, helping you form TikTok, influencing others to buy from, affiliate partnerships. So there's a whole ecosystem now.
Well, I think first of all, because I've heard that before too, it's like everybody wants to consume bite-sized chunks today. No, they want bite-sized chunks when they want bite-sized chunks. And so the short stuff, and it's gotten much pervasive, and there are things that are like these little tidbits, and it's like snapshots on Instagram and the little videos and this sort of thing. But it's not everything. Like, I'll sit down and watch a 2-hour football game. And this show is going to be like an hour long, and people will listen to it. So it's this idea that everyone's attention span has gotten short and all they want is bite-sized chunks. No, they don't. Like, it's a different bit of bite-sized chunk instead of the comics in the newspaper where you used to see Far Side or Herman and go, oh, that's kind of funny. That was a bite-sized chunk. It's probably been replaced with these things, but it hasn't replaced long form. It's still there. People still want meaty, deep, in-depth stuff. The people still read books,
Well, I mean, the bite-sized chunks are really, I think, just attention getters, right? It's what headlines have always been. It's just hey, did you know this? But then I want to know the details. Why did you say that? Well, what is it that makes you believe that? Why is this true? What you just said. And I'm tell you what, marketers have done a shitty job over the last 10 years. I'm going to say this because it's about the clickbait in the headline. I have been a sucker to that 1,000 times. I'm like going, yeah, that's me. That's my problem. They actually nailed the headline and gave me nothing behind it.
That's the fool me once, your fault, or, blame you, fool me twice. It's on me. I totally butchered that phrase. But anyway, you get the idea, because I've gotten so skeptical of stuff now. Like, I'll be honest, I'm reading through my news feed. Like, I usually it's Apple or Flipboard or one of the news feeds. I have all these things. It's supposed to be customized news feeds, and I'm going through it. And the one thing I really want, and I should have on, let's say, Flipboard, is the ability to go, screw you, when I see what I believe is complete clickbait. I'm like, don't ever show me that writer again. Don't ever show me those people again. Don't ever, like, I should be able to filter that out, because I've gotten so sensitive to it that I get angry when it looks to me like clickbait. When it's like, and it's all the same formulaic bullshit, right? You'll never guess what, or you'll never, like, they're all this formulaic stuff, and I see that, and my spidey sense tingles, and I literally swear at articles now. Like, it's like, just like, screw you, article. And that's when they've gotten to that point, it's like you've proverbially, you've jumped the shark, right? Like, so there is room for real. There is room for, like, you hear on the other side all the time, authentic, because people have been attuned to that. And I think a lot of people that's what they're looking for. They're looking for authentic. And now Chat GPT has made it even worse. It's artificial.
Yeah. Well, I think about this. I mean, I did a presentation, I'm going to say, I'll say 5 years ago now. I'd look for just, it was about cash flow. Cash flow issues or ways to improve cash flow. I think that's what I searched for, ways to improve cash flow. And came back with 69 million results. And because I was doing a presentation, I wanted to highlight that there's 69 million results just on searching this. That's why it's so hard to find. I went through 10 pages, so you don't have to. That's kind of what it was. So I went through 10 pages, and I clicked on every article for 10 pages just to prove the point. It came down to 11 things. It didn't matter what article I looked at. And you know what's funny is that some of the articles are exactly the same from different sources. I'm like going, these are almost word for word the same on different sources.
Copy paste.
Right? It's like there's some type of copy paste. And it was like 11 things, and they were bullshit things, right? That you didn't learn from. You're like going, oh, collect faster. Well, yeah, no kidding. There were so
right there.
I've
got a whole stack of books right there, all called Pandemic Cash Flow, which is a really unfortunate title right now. I wrote that book. I guarantee you, Mike, we were doing exactly the same thing. I did a search. I found millions of responses on cash flow. I started to read through, and I'm like, this is a bunch of bullshit. And the biggest thing is, how do you fix it? How do you deal with it? At the bottom, it'll say something like, we'll get a spreadsheet. There was there wasn't even a bloody template. Or if it was a template, it was like, that's not helping us. A pile of trash. You didn't spend 2 minutes on that thing. Nothing actually explained the problem. It was just like, yeah, cash flow could kill your business. Yeah, no shit. It was like those recipe articles where you just want to find the recipe, and the whole thing is like, oh, it was a bright sunny day and my wife was off yonder. And I'm like, no, just give me the bloody the recipe. They never do that.
Yeah, that's right. I don't need to know your farming technique.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I don't care what color your dog was. Just tell me what ingredients are and how to cook it. And that was the thing, is nobody actually said, this is how, you're a small business owner. It's 3 a.m. You're stressed. This is how you do it. This is what this means. This is why it's a problem. This is how you figure it out, right?
All right, so back to TikTok. I think it's actually good for some of that. If you actually read, and it kind of like every other social media platform, it kind of watches what you do and presents information to you, what you spent time on. Believe it or not, I'm a sucker for like woodworking hacks. So I get like tons of those coming through my feed, right? I'm like, or reels, or is it reels? Is this? That's something else. But I get tons of these things. I don't even use TikTok, so I don't think we'll talk about. I use reels, but it's the same thing. But what I'm saying is that it still reads that. So there's a bunch of different things that come through either TikTok or reels or stories that are pertinent to you. Well, some of those things are actually good how-tos. I've learned some things about how to do things from these short-form videos. Like, people are masters at putting together what could be a complicated cut, but showing you easily how to measure it and mark it and cut it in about 30 seconds. I'm like going, shit, that's really masterful. If you can take a complex idea, create at least a how-to video in seconds. I mean, that's exactly what the bite-sized consumable chunk is, oh, I get it. Now, what would happen is if I went in there and tried it, I'd have to go look for the video again. Because I only saw it, I'm like, that's a good idea, but now I can't remember.
So you can't save the video or highlight it or bookmark it or whatever? Or?
I don't know about TikTok, but I mean, you can with like Instagram. And
I don't even know if you
probably
can.
TikTok too, but then you have to go find it, right? You still got to go back and find it. It's not like I'm going to go, I just saw it on accident because it was in my feed. It's not like 8 months from now I'm going to be doing something in the garage and I'm like going, I saw a better way to do this somewhere.
Yeah,
I probably won't remember where I saw it. So maybe it's not useful.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you learn from it, but you've brought up a problem is, how do you, new business idea, but how do you archive all of the data? Like, we're overwhelmed with data. And I know years ago, like the Evernote and a few others tried to do this, but is there a quick way where you could just grab stuff and not share it? It's not about bloody sharing it. Is there a place I could grab stuff as like, oh, I saw this video on YouTube that showed me how to tune my bike suspension, save. And this one showed me how to use like a orbital sander properly, save, and have video, text, all these things where it's like, here's a little place where it just goes where I need it and I can find it later from any platform. I don't know if there is anything like that, but I don't think there is.
No, that's a great idea. So
there we go.
Together.
Yeah. And the big thing is, and see, this is the other thing is, no, I'm not sharing this with I don't want to share all my stuff. This is for me. So pay me $50 a month for it.
You only want people to share, so your social score goes up, or they show it to more people, right? They're like, oh, this is popular. Show more people that. That's why there's so many funny prank videos or so many dance videos. It's like, oh, we shared this, we shared that, and you do this dance, I do this dance, and here we go. But
no,
I don't want to see all that. I don't want to save it. I don't want to share.
I want a little archive so I can find stuff later. It's like my little bulletin board where I can find stuff. Like that'd be useful. But it has to be there's so many barriers and friction on that. It's like, no, it's got to be dead ass simple. You click and it goes where I want it so I can find it later. Dead ass simple, right?
All right, so here's the thing about TikTok. Right? Can we get back to that? So
I guess.
The big deal today is there's a congressional hearing where the government, the U.S. government, is contemplating banning TikTok from being able to be used in the U.S. So that's really interesting. It's interesting because we're banning a company from doing business in the U.S. Right, which I don't know much. Many times I've heard of that. And apparently, and I don't know anything about this, but apparently the allegation is that the data collection that they do is suspect on how much they actually collect and what they actually do with the data after that, which I think the connection they're trying to make is between the CEO of TikTok and the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah. Right? I think that's the big theme is connecting data to.
Doesn't this sound so much like the congressional hearings over heavy metal because they thought Twisted Sister was convincing people to kill themselves? Like it just feels, or video games, or like it feels to me like this is TikTok, right? Like what could someone possibly get off? Because first of all, you're sharing everything publicly anyway. I don't think someone's doing a TikTok on here's how you, set up the missile command for like, this is, I don't know if it's that useful. And how much information are you putting in there besides a username and a password? Like, is there really an issue here? That's what I'm curious. Maybe there is. I'm curious what you say.
I don't know about that. I don't know what TikTok actually gathers. Outside of maybe they know I like woodworking.
Exactly. Don't care.
I don't care who knows that. I'm saying that publicly on the air. Now the one I think that they accused early on, and it might be a dead technology now. Do you remember Pokemon Go? The game?
I've heard of it. Yeah,
it's like on your phone. It was augmented reality where you took your phone camera. And you actually, wherever you were at, you could find these Pokemon characters. And I didn't play it, but I read about it because what they were saying is that it was a Chinese app. And I'm not down on Chinese right now. I mean, it's the accusations. I don't know. I can't prove any of this, right? So, but here's the thing. It sounded more logical than TikTok, meaning that you have people all over the world with their cameras and they're taking video while looking for these augmented reality creatures, which is an imaginary creature in a real environment on your camera. And they would have these in your house and they would have these in your public buildings and they would have these all the different places. Was it a way of collecting map data for something else?
Yeah.
Right. But much like, and this is true. Much like how the CAPTCHAs, where it says, "Hey, tell us what all the pictures that have a street lamp in it," right? Well, that was a way to train AI and to learn that that's what a street light looks like. That's what a street light looks like. That's what a street light looks like. Millions of people all over the world were confirming that picture had a street light in it, or had a motorcycle in it, or had stairs in it, or a mountain in it. if that's true, meaning that we're confirming pictures through CAPTCHAs, or security purposes, isn't it also true that they could have been collecting map data for, Pokemon Go, just to actually see things and confirm suspicions, map out your house? I mean, that's the wild conspiracy theory. But
it could, but isn't that the really hard way when you could just literally go to Google because they're 10 years ahead on that and everything is just sitting there online?
But you can't see inside my house.
Not inside, but you can literally just go right up to my front doorstep, right? Like, okay, so this to me, okay, so first of all, maybe, but the question I have is how much is Google and Amazon and Apple and everything already gathering? And I'm going to bring an example here because I'm not making any accusation here, but I'm going to talk about a connection. Okay, so we were in a meeting yesterday, and during the meeting, the person we were talking to brought up Figma, and Figma is a design software that you do mock-ups and blah blah blah, right? And we just as part of the conversation because hey, you can deliver it in Figma, blah 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 blah. Okay, great, we can do that. Got off the call and it was in Google Meetup. We don't use Google very often. We're in Zoom almost all the time, but this was their room and it was a Google room. And not even an hour later, one of my staff that was in the meeting with me popped up on Slack, said, "Isn't this coincidental? I'd never heard of Figma before in my life." And they started getting Figma ads in their feed from a meeting.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
So I'm not going to make an accusation there, but you can connect pretty quick, right?
Yeah. And make an accusation. I mean, they're very blatant about it. Like when we are using your microphone, at various times, unless you turn it off, it's defaulted on in order to provide you with the right ads.
So first of all, I had no idea going into a meeting that would be happening. We've all seen it with Amazon devices, with Google devices, with Apple devices when you're talking and it's talking back to you. Frick, my car one time started answering a question when I was driving down the bloody road. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't even know it did that, But when you start looking at the amount of data and the level that like Google and Amazon for sure, probably Apple, Tesla. Like, can you imagine how much data Tesla's gathering, or all these car companies, when they know where you are and they're just collecting data? So when I look at that, I'm like, yeah, okay, well, TikTok can probably get a fraction of the data of all these other guys. And how much data? See, this is where, because we're going to talk about small business pretty quick here, but consider that if they ban TikTok, how are Google, Amazon, Apple, some of these massive businesses, how are they going to be affected in China? Because they're pulling more data out of there than the other way around. Like how much data is Google gathering on China right now?
Maybe not. Maybe not as much, because what I've read is the TikTok app in China is way different than the TikTok app in America. One of the big things is a European study was every 3 minutes there's harmful content for kids in TikTok. So if you're on it for more than 3 minutes, you're going to see something.
Okay. Is that in here or in China? Here, I guess.
No, but in China, it's much more censored. In China, it's much more locked down. The data collection and the what you can do and say and post on the app, it's so much more locked down. We don't have any restrictions on that here. And that's what the whole crux of it is, right? From Twitter to Facebook to Google is we don't have any restrictions. The difference is those companies are
So what you're saying is how can we make the U.S. more communist? That's what this is all about. No, the Congress or but this is it's kind of funny because it's like, maybe we should be like the congressional hearings are almost like, should we be more like China and actually bad stuff and control more? I'm just curious. I'm just sort of bringing that up.
Or maybe it's a way to strong arm them into actually cooperating and providing data two-way. If you're going to give it to them, you give it to us too.
Could be. I have a feeling they're just,
which is equally as bad which is equally.
But I wonder how much they care, because who actually cares more? The American companies that are selling to this enormous market in China, or the Chinese companies, are they selling to that level in the U.S.? Like manufacturing is one thing, but Chinese brands that actually own that are front facing, I don't know if it's as common as the other way around, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think in my mind that we're a consumer of Chinese wholesale goods, and we retail them.
Okay, yeah.
In my mind, what do you think?
To some degree, I think it's probably with unbranded or lower value brands than the bigger American brands. But again, they're likely many of them are manufactured in China.
No, but I think most of the Chinese goods that we buy are rebranded with an American company. It says made in China.
Yeah, except that it was the order and the design was likely instigated from a U.S. brand, I'm guessing. Which I don't know if it makes that much difference, to be honest. Now the thing that, okay, so we've gone sort of all over the place here. The one thing we haven't got to yet is if they ban TikTok, what actually happens to businesses that are relying on TikTok?
Well, first of all, you got to think about, not just TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. There are businesses that are born because those platforms exist. From influencers or micro-influencers that just are really affiliates. What used to be the old partnership or affiliate programs, now they're leveraging these social media platforms to promote their goods, right? They're their goods. It's just like going, I got 1 million people who look at me because I do silly stuff, but I tell you, hey, that's a great thing to buy over here, right? And people buy it. Then you have the people that actually support other businesses that are trying to leverage those platforms to gain brand awareness. How do I use TikTok? How do I promote? How do I get followers? How do I do this? That's a whole ecosystem of businesses that are built because that platform exists. You take it away, what happens to those businesses?
Yeah, it could be like
trying to say.
I don't know how many. Obviously, some of them are literally built entirely on TikTok, and they could see their livelihood potentially disappear. There's also businesses that probably have a chunk of their revenue coming via TikTok that are probably freaking out a bit, going, man, if they cut that off, we lose X percent of our revenue virtually overnight because we've built this channel. And like I said, I've never used TikTok. I feel like it's hard for me to speak to it in detail. But I met somebody at South by Southwest at one of the events I was at, and she worked for TikTok. And we were talking about it, and she was talking about how they basically are building. Now, again, I've never been to TikTok. I don't know how it works, the commercial content or sponsored content or whatever. But it was basically building content for brands. And some of the brands she mentioned those are big brands. Those are, and not just big brands. Those are brands targeted towards. They're not targeted towards teenagers. They're targeted towards business. They're targeted toward, and it just surprised me. I thought, like, oh man, there's a lot going on over there that I didn't know about. There's people on TikTok that potentially are our customers that I had no idea were there. So now you've got a lot invested in this in business from the biggest businesses all the way down to the influencer and everybody in between.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, 5 to 10 years, they've grown to 1 billion users. That's remarkable growth. Anybody, I mean, dude, you know how hard it is just to get 100,000 users on an app? 1 billion in 10 years?
It's ridiculous.
I mean, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah, it's one of the big. It's now, instead of the big 5, it's the big 6 or whatever. You know, like it's a big one.
Yeah. But because of that, I mean, 1 billion users, you're going to get a lot of companies coming to the marketplace, because anytime there's 1 billion eyeballs, you're going to want to be in front of them, right? No TV channel. I mean, that's where I think media on TV is struggling right now. You can't get that many users.
No, not even close.
You can't get it.
Like you've said before, like the you know, like our podcast here is not to 1 million users either, but Joe Rogan outpaces, I don't know, everything but the Super Bowl. I'm not totally sure. I'm just kind of guessing there, but like every week, the ears that are on that podcast, the people that are engaged in that podcast, and many others, supersedes virtually anything on television 10 times over.
Well, I mean, even like any of the news agencies, when they talk about numbers, they're talking about, we had 800,000 viewers or 1 million viewers this episode. That doesn't even come close to 1 billion active users. Not even close. Not even a fraction.
No, there's no net, because that's what TikTok is it's basically a network. That's, if we look back at the old, you know, NBC, ABC, CBS networks or whatever, literally TikTok is the new version of a network. Netflix is a network. TikTok is a network. Like Facebook is a network. It's just, you're getting eyeballs. And how many are you getting, and how long are you keeping them, and how engaged are they? And look at the engagement that they're getting, right?
Yeah, what do you think the average
of TikTok is?
10 minutes?
I couldn't even guess, again, because I've never been on it. I'm going to have to download it after this and see what it is, you know. So,
I mean, first of all, it's got to be by demographic. I mean, you know, less than 20, maybe you're on an hour a day or more. I don't know. Maybe the average is an hour. They're saying 67% of teenagers are on TikTok in the U.S. 67%.
I can't think of anything else that would have that sort of saturation. Like if we look back in the I don't know, the late 80s, early 90s, maybe there were some TV show, because again, there's like 4 channels. Maybe there's a TV show that would have somebody tune in, but they tune in for once a week for half an hour. Not every day for an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
That's impossible to get anywhere, right?
I can't imagine. I mean, all right, so when I've done reels and stuff in the past, now I'm not a teenager. When I've done those in the past, I'm kind of bored in about 10, 15 minutes. Me, right? I mean, maybe there's other folks that can just watch, but I'm like bored in 10, 15 minutes. So you probably, if I went to screen time, you wouldn't see much more than that. Yeah,
there must be. Like I said, I haven't been on, like, and the social media. Maybe we're guessing that it's much higher than it is, because you know, like I'm on Instagram, 10 minutes like a week, five minutes a week, like okay, now you know where I spend probably more time is Reddit. You know, because I've customized, and in fact, I find it more useful than these other. I don't find as much clickbait on there, because you start to follow areas that they block garbage, right? So it's like, here's my stuff that I wanna follow. I don't get that shit, right? So maybe that's one place where I'm on more.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, there's a learning curve at Reddit, like, because even in the channels that you think are interesting or you like, there's a different language there. You're like, what is, like, Wall Street Bets? They use HODL, HODL. which is really hold, but I guess somebody way back when misspelled it, so now they all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a whole different language you got to learn, though, in some of
Yeah.
these threads on Reddit. I'm not. I think it's more unfiltered, meaning you get a lot of opinions, but you get some garbage in there too. You get some just dumbass.
Absolutely, but like what I've realized is this user generated content has created a lot of garbage. But what it's done is, instead of bolstering mainstream media to go, we're going to be fair, balanced, just the facts, Jack sort of idea, it's gone completely the other way. That there is no mainstream media anymore. It's all opinion pieces. You can be the Wall Street Journal, and it's an opinion piece that is there to get eyeballs, generate controversy, and piss people off. And it's almost all like that. Maybe not Wall Street Journal, maybe it's as bad as some, but virtually all media now is like, really, I don't believe any of you assholes, right?
I'm going to tell you what, I think here's who does it best. And this is weird because, and I don't feel like I've been influenced by them, but there's an Instagram account called Real News No Bullshit. And when you read their posts, they'll do a picture, but when you read their posts, they're like, going, that just seems like there's no really opinion in there. It's like going, this happened, this happened, this happened. Like going,
Yeah.
well, shit, that happened. So it makes you decide what's good, what's bad. It makes you decide that. But it's just saying, here's the facts, like you're talking about. It's the first time I've ever seen that where it's just real news, no bullshit.
And it's unfortunate that I'd never heard of it, and it probably doesn't have the traction that it should, because it should. Because like you can't read anything today without it being like generally paper thin garbage with an opinion, but an opinion from a writer that probably doesn't know anything about the topic outside of, here's the pinch point. Here's how I can create some controversy. Here's how I can try and get eyeballs. Here's what I can leave out. Here, that's what I think a lot of it is what are the facts I can leave out so I can make people really riled up? Because usually that's what it is, right?
Well, I mean, that's where you see all these conspiracy theories about like the AP, the Associated Press, because they'll put out pieces and then you'll see 25 news organizations across the country say the exact same thing with the exact same words. But in some ways, I'm like going, God damn, that makes sense, though. But that everybody would say the same thing with the same words because we can't write that much content in every city on every story. Yeah. You just can't. You've got to be able to consume information from around, the world or the or the country, and be able to display it. It's going to be the same because one person.
Yeah, imagine how much power that one person has, and that one person. Are they an expert or in the area, or is it literally it could be a journalism student that wrote the piece that is getting picked up everywhere, that could have some massive gaps in the facts, just because they only have it's Twitter, they only have so many words or whatever, right? Who knows?
Yep. Yeah, exactly right. So we didn't advertise for anybody today. Except for TikTok. We did
an hour-long TikTok ad, so I don't know if we did, because I don't think we made it sound that interesting to have TikTok, Yeah.
But here's the thing. All right, so let me ask you this. All right, we're coming up on our 50 minutes or so. Let's close here with, should it be banned?
The problem there is, they're trying to decide, should it be banned based on information that I don't even know if they have. So what information are they gathering? What is happening with that data? But I think from TikTok's perspective, is it really any different than the other how many million apps that are in the App Store? Are they getting picked on because they're well known? I have no idea. I'm just kind of throwing that out there because you got to guarantee that how many apps in that store, they're all tracking everything, right?
All right, so they're well known now. They have 1 billion users, but you never heard them cooperating with the U.S. government, like Facebook, like Twitter, like I don't know if LinkedIn does. That's weird, but
yeah.
But you don't hear it. You don't hear the cooperation. Is this just a strong arm technique to get TikTok to cooperate more with the government?
Yeah. Yeah, like it could be. It could very well be, and it's how much, and does it have more to do with control on a political level than actually, like you know me, I'm like a politician from left, right, center, up, down, whatever. I have real trouble believing pretty much anything they do isn't just for their own political gain, right? So I question if is this really for the American people or the Canadian people, or is it we're just going to pick on them for whatever reason? I really don't know. I'm just sort of asking that.
Okay, so what should a small business, a micro influencer, or a small business associated with social media, consulting, content, writing, those type of things, what should they be doing right now?
Well, I would say the one thing is they can't suddenly try and pick another winner or shift. What they need to do, if it affects your business, get on the phone. Get on the phone with your MP or your congressman, or like, this is affecting my business. If you guys ban this, this is how it's going to affect me. I have staff. I think that's all you can do. But it's you need to make it known that it's like, you guys are not just playing with politics here. You're playing with people's lives, their businesses, their livelihood, and it's easy for politicians to just go, oh no, it doesn't matter. Well, it's not their mortgage they're paying, right?
Yeah, see I think that's where you and I disagree.
Sure.
I don't think it's my responsibility to go politic my politicians to go do something different. I have to control what I can control, right? My business, I always try to say that, the best customer concentration level is for no customer to be more than 8%. So that's customer concentration. If your whole business is wrapped around, TikTok, well, if that goes away, guess what the economist in me says? Right? It's just like when they said, we're going to abolish the IRS. Everybody freaks out. Oh, that's X number of thousand jobs. Well, so what? They're just going to be absorbed into other jobs. The macroeconomic theory says they just get absorbed into other things. They start businesses. They go to work for somebody else. They get wrapped up in the new thing that comes out about it. That's the same thing that's going to happen to these businesses. Is they're going to adjust to the new environment, whatever's created beyond the ban.
Yeah, that is no. But honestly, that does nothing for them, for a small business. Like, literally, that's like if Dry Run was going to get banned by the government, it's basically saying, well, you better go build another SaaS product in the next week, because if that one goes away, you're screwed. We're too far down. It takes years to build something like that. And I think that's the thing, that's easier said than done. If you've built a following of a few million people on TikTok, that is or if you've got this giant channel coming in from TikTok, if it was that easy, we'd all do it. It is hard to move that. So I'd say right now, emergency sort of, you need to lobby for yourself.
It's not hard to move that. Most people say, hey, listen, they're banning it. Follow me on whatever the new one is. They're going to get a percentage of those over on the new platform if they have followers.
Yeah, easy to say. It may not, like, go where? Follow me on Twitter? Well, Twitter's a completely different, nobody wants to, like, no, we're not going there. Follow me on Facebook? No, my mom and dad aren't going there. They're like, until it's banned, no one's bloody doing a thing. No one's going to move. No one's going to care, right? There's nothing quite like it. They could say, well, follow me on Instagram. Maybe they have a little bit, whatever. But you still have to lobby for yourself, because these people are making decisions for you. And the only thing they care about is their own political skin. And so if they get enough phone calls, enough emails, then they might go, ooh, this is affecting more people than I thought. I might not get the votes next time. That's all they care about, is their own skin.
I think if your business, though, is reliant on one platform, TikTok, we'll say in this case, then you've already made a grave mistake in your business. I think you should diversify, and you should do multiple platforms. Meaning that I'm also good at Instagram. I'm also good at Facebook Reels. I'm also good at these other things. So what is it about, that we're like going, why is it okay for us to just put all of our eggs in one basket, TikTok? Yeah. If they should be marketers of all of those platforms.
Yeah, but we're like, what we're talking about here is suddenly this pops out of nowhere and it's like, we'll go start this. Sure, they can. But to me, it's like, those are not two totally different pieces of advice. One is you can try and diversify. But even if you have, you might have your big nest egg just disappear. Like that's what happens. You still have to have your voice heard, because these people that are voting and making decisions of what's going to affect your business, they need to hear from you. Like, so I would say it's not one or the other. It's both. You got to take responsibility for yourself and figure out, how do I make my business survive? But these guys have to know what the hell they're doing to affect American business and American livelihoods, because they are. And, like, to me, it's like, it's easy to say that, but would you go to a grain farmer and say, they have to diversify? Yeah, you better start a cattle and pig farm, and that's not that easy. Like, it's not just that. That's just what it is. That's what they've started. That's what their business is on, and they are in like a mission critical state right now. They may have to do some of the hard stuff over the next couple of years, but this stuff is really hard and long to add and to adjust to. So when you're asking, what do you do today? Get on the phone.
All right, I'll go with that. The thing is, you're not going to hear back what the national security, reason is. You're not going to hear that, right? They're going to hear from you that there's a business impact to you. You're not going to hear from them what the bigger issue is on why it's being banned.
And if the fact is you won't find out if it's a legitimate issue or if it's a political issue. And because the fact is I would flip a coin. I would look at it and go, in fact, I'm probably more skeptical or cynical than that I suspect what they're doing is not any different than a hell of a lot of other apps. They're just getting, and not that it's good, but it's like, how about you cover all of the apps, not just pick one? Because there's a lot of funny business going on. But it feels to me a lot like, is this just a political move? Does this have other control issues that they're worried about?
Hey, speaking of control issues, I've got one, and I want you to go to mikeandblaine.com and either subscribe to our podcast, or you can buy us a beer, or you can get some of the cool merch that we've already talked about and Blaine showed you on the air. So, Blaine,
like us if you're listening to us on LinkedIn. Make sure you like us. Make sure and leave a comment on LinkedIn. Leave a comment on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're listening to us. You can leave comments for us there. Follow us, whatever it is. Subscribe to us, and then check us out the website as well. So, we'll be back next week with another burning topic where, well, we almost argued a little bit today, so that's a little more than sometimes.
All right, and I just got a text from Neighbor Pat saying, "Hey, could you mention Neighbor Pat?"
Of course, we can mention Neighbor Pat.
If you like Neighbor Pat, if you're mad that he's leaving us, remember I told you that. I just told you he's getting ready to leave the neighborhood. If you're mad at Neighbor Pat, let me know.
Well, and the one awesome thing is he's leaving the neighborhood. But Pat, I'm sure you're subscribed. Make sure you keep listening and stay in touch, because we're going to want to hear from you.
All right. Hey, episode 83 is in the books. And a disclaimer, neither Blaine nor I know anything about TikTok.
Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine, giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine